The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation, make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels, operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Mercer Island, Washington, on your new apparatus, job number 29381. Please utilize this job number when referencing your vehicle with Hughes Fire Equipment or Pierce Manufacturing. Let's get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Starting with the front bumper of your apparatus, on the passenger side mounted on the face of the bumper is an air horn. Moving over to the very center is an electronic winch. On the very top is the access for the controls. On the left-hand side is a port for your plug-in for the electronic winch. And to the right-hand side is your selector switch for free spool or engage. This is a 9,000-pound maximum allowable winch. Located underneath in the very bottom are right and left tow hooks. These are closed. As we move up onto the very top of the bumper, you'll see in the next image, there is the housing for your winch. And just up from that, there are two right and left emergency lights mounted in the grill. This is a close-up of the air horn on the passenger side. As we move upward, this is the headlight cluster housing the low and high beam headlight. And to the outer edge, this is the right and turn signals. Located on the side of the bumper, you can see there is an emergency light both on the left and the right side. Also, there is an air inlet with a plastic cap covering that air inlet. Moving up to the very top of the apparatus, across the top, there are 5 running lights. Located in the center is a fixed forward-facing floodlight. Moving just up above that onto the top of the cab, this is your light bar or warning lights. And moving up just from that location is your go light, which is a fixed pinpoint spot adjustable from inside the cab. There's some close-ups of those forward-facing floodlights. Close-up of the go light. Generalized view of the front side of the passenger section. We'll talk a little bit more about that here in the next set of images. And this is going to be from the driver's section. As we look at the front fender, on the left-hand side, equally on the right, there is a marker light on the rear section. Looking up from that marker light, as we move up to the very top of the windshield area, you'll see a side view of the windshield, in addition with 2 sets of mirrors here. At the very top, flat, the bottom is convex. You can see this in the image here. As we move down onto the doorway, this is your department logo, Mercer Island Fire. There's also a pull handle, which is a keyed lock. Moving down from the operator's door, just underneath the door is the tank for your diesel fuel. This is going to be a cap that is threaded. Once it's opened, this is where you'll fill your ultra low sulfur diesel. Just to the right of that, at the very bottom of this image, is a left black cap, and on the right hand side is a red cap. Once those caps are removed, that gains access to the battery terminals. Just above that, and that silver door or silver cover, this is going to be the location of your battery. Please take note of those warning labels that are located on the batteries. As we move just beneath that section where the silver cover is located, this is the fill location for your DEF. It's going to be a generalized view of the side of the apparatus, and we're going to get a little bit more detailed in some of those components as we move forward. Generalized view of the very top section of your center pump panel area. At the very top, you'll see there is a mounted floodlight. And we'll go ahead and start with a little bit more orientation of that pump panel. Starting in the upper left-hand corner, this is your master intake. Moving just to the right of that is the master discharge. Moving down from that, these are going to be your test gauge ports. There is a vacuum and a pressure test port. Moving down from that, this is going to be your Pierce engine information. Gives your engine RPMs, voltage, oil pressure, and oil temp. Moving to the right of that, this is a disable switch for your alarm, for the audible alarm. And this is the audible alarm here behind the round circular speaker here. And then moving to the right hand side, if this light illuminates, this will indicate that you should check your transmission. It is an amber light. Moving just to the right hand side of that, this is going to be a pump hours gauge, indicates how many hours are on your pump. Let's go ahead and take a look at the upper left hand corner. This is going to be the storage location or crosslay for the number 1 and number 2 crosslays. These are pre-connected crosslays in yellow and in blue. As you can see, once that cover has been opened, this gains access from the driver's side in addition from the passenger side for your crosslays. Generalized view here of the next set of images. This is going to be the midship section of your pump, and we're going to go ahead and cover the components of that here in the next set of images. Let's go ahead and start in the upper left hand corner. This is going to be your number 1 discharge, which is a crosslay. This is color coded in yellow. Moving to the next side over, number 2 crosslay, color coded in blue, which references the exact same on the passenger side rear discharge. It's color coded to that discharge in the back. Moving to the right, this is going to be a Watrous discharge relief valve. The very top is the tension spring. Moving down is the strainer. Do not operate the strainer or open the strainer when the pump is engaged. Just beneath that is going to be your on-off switch. Moving to the right in purple, master stream or deluge at the top of the apparatus. And once again, moving down to the bottom, this is going to be your number 1 driver side discharge. A quarter turn here on this next one. This is going to be your engine cooler. And as we move just over to the right, this is the number 2 passenger side discharge. Moving down, you can see the large one that says idle. This is going to be your throttle control. And moving just to the right hand side, this is going to be your Hale primer pump. Moving all the way to the far right hand side, large diameter, this is going to be an intake from the rear. And as we move down here, this is another discharge point. You can see once again color coded so there's no confusion within that. We have another set of images here that will cover more of these rocker switches here in the next set of component slides. As you look to the right hand side though, this is going to be your water tank indicator level, being green full, red empty. And at the very top, this is your tank fill or recirculating line valve. And moving down, this is your tank to pump. Generalized view of some of those images that we just talked about and some of those components. All right, we'll move down onto the next section. This is the number 3 driver side discharge. Moving over, this is going to be your shore power plug-in for your auto charging system. Moving to the right of that, this is an additional warning speaker. Just beneath that, this is going to be your pump overheat indicator. This is a component switches here. At the very top, you have your panel lights. Moving down, this is an indicator switch that shows that your pump has been engaged. And then moving down subsequently are a variety of different floodlights. And at the very bottom, the red switch, this is your air horn switch. Moving to the right, this is your auto eject for your 20 amp shore power. To the right hand side, this is going to be your pump drain. Another close-up of that auto charging system. As you can see, you have various indicators for low voltage charging, fully charged, or high voltage, and then it gives a digital readout on the right-hand side of that to what you're displaying. Lower left-hand side of the pump, this is going to be your 2.5 inch intake. Just underneath that 2.5 inch intake, this is going to be your Watrous placard to indicate the information on your pump. To the right of that placard, this is going to be your relief valve drain, which is a quarter turn. As you can see, there's a illuminated step just beneath the pump panel. To the right of that, there are 2 folding chocks. Generalized view as we talk more about some of the components within the rear section of your apparatus. Let's get started with your first compartment door. As you can see, there is 2 pull-out shelves in this. In addition, within the very upper corner here, this is your auto charger. I'll have a little bit more detailed image of that. This plugs into the shore power, which is a 20 amp outlet. As you can see, it's plugged in. This is the auto charger for the batteries of your vehicle. These are those shelves in the outward pulled position. And just beneath this compartment is also the location of your midship, or just in front of the tire here, marker light. There's also just to the aft or rear of that, this is going to be an emergency or warning light. Center compartment, we'll talk a little bit about those components with inside that. As you can see, there is a pegboard. That pegboard is adjustable. You can see on the right and left hand side it moves in or out. This pegboard also is in the open position. Once it's been moved to the open position, there's tools on both front and back of this board. It will move to a locked position. To go ahead and return that back to its normal position, just inside that pegboard hinge, there is a lever. That lever is activated to push that door back to its stored component, which I have that image here next. In the image here, simply lift this lever here. This will allow the door to move in an inward position and be unlocked, allowing the toolboard to be restored. This is going to be an image, rear compartment, adjustable shelf, generalized view of the rear or side of the apparatus. We'll talk a little bit about more of those components here in the next set of images. Let's go ahead and start in the upper left-hand section of the rear of the apparatus. Upper left-hand section, you can see at the very top there's a 360-degree emergency light. Just beneath that, as you can see pictured here, this is a rear-facing floodlight. Just to the right of that, there's a grab bar, and just down from that grab bar, there's a telescoping floodlight. As we look further down on the rear section of the body, this is a warning light. Just beneath that warning light, this is going to be your license plate. Where you affix that, it's also illuminated, and you can see the cord and the aluminum pole on the right-hand side for your adjustable upward movement floodlight. Down at the very bottom section here, at the very bottom, you have your rear, turn, brake, and emergency or warning light at the very top of that cluster. Let's go ahead and look at the very center section of the apparatus. You have a roll-up door. There are also steps on both the right and left-hand side that fold down, in addition with step work lights that will also illuminate while operating back in the very back. Once that compartment door is rolled open, this will gain access to a pull-out shelf. To open, simply grab the red knob and pull. To return it back, push the red knob. This has approximately a 600-pound distributed load rating on this pull-out shelf. As we look to the very bottom section of your apparatus or underneath the tailboard, you'll find that there are lights on both the right and left-hand side of the apparatus for illumination of the ground. Located in the very center between those two lights, you have a pull handle. That pull handle is to access a pull-out step, which allows gaining access up onto the tailboard. Let's go ahead and move to the upper section on the right-hand side of the tailboard. We'll talk about these next components here in the next set of images. On the right-hand side, this is going to be a rear discharge port, 2.5 inch. Moving down from that location, this is going to be your large diameter intake or rear inlet. And as we move further down, both on the right and left-hand side, this is going to be your light cluster. At the very top is going to be a warning, brake, turn, and reverse. At the very top of the apparatus on both right and left, this is a warning light. Let's get a generalized view of the rear of your apparatus at the very top section of your apparatus hose bed. On the left-hand side of the apparatus, you have two speed loads. Once that Velcro is removed, allows you to gain access to those speed loads for loading hose and then returning that hose back with the entire unit back into the apparatus. At the very top, you have covered hose bed storage, which is a hard hose bed storage. On the perimeter, you have additional attachment points. On the left-hand side or on the driver's side, you'll see a large compartment. Once that large compartment is in the open position, you'll see that it also has illumination with inside there for accessing tools at night. Moving to the very front of your apparatus, you'll see a small compartment door on the left-hand side. That compartment door gains access. Once this door is open, this will gain access to your tank fill from the top. This is for your water tank. Moving just as a generalized view from the water tank, looking from the front to the back, this is the general view of your hose bed. At the very front of that, or the head of that area, this is going to be your Apollo large diameter discharge. Just in front of that, this is an image of those cross lays, which are pre-plumbed for 1.5 inches. Generalized view of the top of the cab. This is going to be that go light, which is controlled inside the cab. The next image is your forward-facing floodlight. This is going to be a close-up of your large diameter discharge at the very top, your deluge. Generalized view of the rear of the truck. There is a warning label indicating for riding of passengers on the back for movement. Please pay attention to those labels. Moving to the right-hand side of the apparatus, this shows your equipment rack in the down position. As you can see, just in the inside of the ladders, you have long pole storage, which is pike pole storage. You currently have outfitted with an 8-foot and a 10-foot pike pole. Just above that, there is a 10-foot folding or attic ladder. To the outer edges of that ladder rack, you have a 14-foot roof and a 24-foot extension. As you can see in the next image, there are some red triangles. On those red triangles, those are the indicators for restoring the ladder back to its original position so that you can use the pull handles to lock the ladders into place. Front view of the apparatus. You can see there are warning lights to indicate when the ladder is in the down position. The operation of this ladder is controlled in the midship section on the passenger side. This is your powered equipment rack here. There is an on-off switch with a green light and a switch which is momentarily for up or down. This is going to be a generalized view of the side of the apparatus, and we'll talk a little bit about the components within each of the compartments. Let's take a look at the very rear compartment. When this door is in the open position, you'll see behind that there are 2 adjustable shelves. There is also strip lights on the inside for illumination and viewing. We're now looking at the center compartment. Just inside that center compartment, once that door is open, you'll find you'll have a pegboarded section behind that for mounting of tools. There are also strip lights for illumination. Moving forward of that location, you have a long compartment or height compartment. Just inside this compartment, once again, there are adjustable shelves, in addition with lighting on the inside, strip lighting. Looking at the rear section of the rear of the apparatus tire, just above that, you'll see that there is, in the rear section, a warning light. Just forward of that, this is going to be a marker light or turn indicator, pictured here. This is the warning light on the side. Both right and left hand sides have this. At the very top of these compartments, you'll notice that there is a warning light in the very back, which is a 360 and a rear-facing emergency light. In addition, with just underneath that light, a marker light. Moving just forward of this, about midship, this is going to be a floodlight just above that long compartment in the center. And once again, generalized view of this side, what we just were referring to, but let's look a little bit more of the components in the midship section. Midship section, you have, the next slide will show us at the very bottom, a swinging step, which will allow you a breakaway step. Moving up from that location, let's go to the very top. As you can see on the right-hand side, this is that cross-through compartment or cross lays. Gain access behind that and also a grab handle. Moving down just from that location, this is going to be the indications for crosslay number 1 and crosslay number 2. Once the cover is removed, this gains access to the crosslays. You can see it's pre-plumbed with 1.5 inches. To the left of that is a grab handle. Generalized view of the side of the apparatus in the midsection. Let's go ahead and take a look at that upper left-hand corner, that access door. Behind this access door is going to be the location to check for hydraulic fluid for your powered rack. Moving just forward of that, this is the controls for that powered rack. As we move down just from that location, you'll find 2 discharge ports, number 2 and number 4, color-coded. Just beneath that section, you're going to see the passenger side main inlet. Large diameter.
Moving down and just to the right-hand side of this location, you'll find an additional access door. Just inside that access door, this is your relief valve. This is the set screw for that relief valve. As we move just beneath that door, you'll find there are three discharge drains here, one for passenger rear, number 4 and number 2 discharges. Moving just beneath this location, underneath the side board, you'll find a step that has also a perimeter light located here. Generalized view, you'll see the handle located on the main stack exhaust. Just to the front door of this, underneath that front door for the passenger, there is a step light. Moving just beneath that, there is an additional step light in the lower section for the step. And this is going to be a generalized view of the side of the apparatus. We're going to go ahead and go now into the inside of the cab, starting at the driver's side. As we look inside the driver's side, you'll see on the left-hand side of the door, there is a yellow affixed label. That label is your Pierce Manufacturing information label. This houses a variety of different information about your vehicle, in addition with the components and fluids within inside that. Located here, you can see this is the October 2016 manufacture date. There is also the job number 29381. As we move further down, you'll see there's a gross vehicle weight rating, and there's additional information regarding tires and rim sizes and tire inflations. Generalized view looking into the driver's side of the vehicle. Down on the lower right-hand side, the red knob, this is going to be your battery switch on-off. Moving just up from that, you'll notice on the seat face here a location for adjusting your seat height and also the tilt and forward of that seat also. Looking as a generalized view from outside in, once again, you'll find a yellow placard on the left-hand side. Please pay close attention to this placard. This houses the information of the vehicle height, length, and weight. Let's go ahead and move above. You'll notice in the very center there is a red light. This is a compartment door light. If that's flashing, please check to make sure that all your compartments have been secured. Looking down at the center console between the passenger and the driver, you'll notice there is a map book storage in addition with access ports for electrical components in this area. Let's go ahead and look also just upward of that map book section. This is a location of an LED light box, and it appears that this is going to be the location of your Knox box. As we look forward to the left-hand side, this is your Allison transmission pad on the left. Moving to the right-hand side, you can see this is your PA system, but let's take a look just above that. This is going to be your Pierce seatbelt information area. This tells you when people have their seatbelts on and when they don't. Moving down from that location, this is going to be the control center for your siren and also your PA system. Once again, this is the information regarding your seat belt. If there is weight on the seat, and it will indicate that there is a person that is not belted, so pay close attention to that. Just to the right of that, this is going to give you your pump discharge pressure. Let's take a look at the dash cluster. Let's start in the upper lower left-hand corner. This is your DEF fill indicator. Moving up from that, this is your oil pressure. Moving up from that on the outside left, this is your transmission temperature. Moving up from that, this is going to be your water temperature. Moving just inward of that location, this is your tachometer. To the right of that is your speedometer. To the right of that is going to be your voltage. Moving down from that location, this is your diesel or fuel indicator. To the right-hand side, this is going to be air brakes. And also an airbag gauge. Let's move on to the steering column. Left-hand side, this is going to be your hazard rocker switch. Just to the left of that is the pull for tilting your steering wheel column. And to the left of that, barely visible here, this is going to be your windshield wiper control. Looking at the operator's left knee, about that height, you're going to see that yellow label on the left-hand side. We'll talk about that in the next ones, but this is a panel switch here for your headlights and also for rocker dimming. On the left-hand side, this is going to be your height, length, and gross vehicle weight rating. In addition, with at the very bottom, your job number 29381. Moving to the right-hand side, about the right-hand side of the driver's knee area, this is going to be your regen for while you're parked on, and your inhibit regen switch. Moving just to the right of this location, this is going to be your ignition switch. The next set of images are going to go into a little bit of that dash cluster. This is a generalized view to give you an idea where things are at. Our last image was that silver on the very lower left hand, which is your ignition switch. We'll move up to the upper section of this panel here. This is going to be your climate control. On the left is your fan. In the center is your control for temperature control. And then this is going to be the location on your right-hand side for distribution of that climate. Just beneath that, this is going to be your go light, which is the very top of the apparatus. This is that focused spotlight. On the right is the on-off switch. The red indicates that it's on. And you can see the left-hand side here. This is your adjustment for moving that light around. Let's go ahead and start at the very top of the panel of switches here. At the very upper section here, you have the driver alley, passenger alley, front, left, right, and rear scene lights. The lower section down here, we have the high idle on. Over to the right is going to be your OK for high idle on. You have a PTO, PTO engaged, OK to pump, and a pump and roll. Those are all indicator switches or indicator lights. At the upper right-hand side, we're going to see the emergency master, roof, 2 Opticom switches, front and side warnings. You also have a rear warning, and you have open compartment door, low voltage, and ladder down, which is your ladder rack. To the right of that is your perimeter lighting, and further right, load manager. This is going to be your pull to apply your parking brake and push to release. Moving to the right-hand side, this is going to be your filter minder, which indicates your intake filter. Just to the bottom of that section here on this is your panel for a cigarette lighter or 12-volt battery power. And just to the right of that, this is a cover plate for use if you choose to use a switch in this location for the future. On the map light, there is a push on-off to turn the map light on and off. Moving just overhead, looking from the driver's side, you're going to see at the very top, you have some netting here. This is for storage locations, in addition with your visors. And once again, in the center, that red indicator light that you have a compartment ajar. Looking from the passenger side, you'll see the white strips on the outside. Those are reflective tape to indicate the door is open for passing vehicles. As we look also inside the cab, you'll see in the very lower left-hand corner the orange box light. This is an LED box light. I've got an image of that here in the next set of slides. And as we look overhead from the passenger seat, has a similar type of compartment storage, which has netting. In addition with a visor, there are also push on and push off red and white lights. Congratulations on your new apparatus, Mercer Island, job number 29381. If you have any questions regarding this video or any questions regarding your apparatus, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Thank you.